I feel like you just never lose when you have multiple jobs, because nowadays your job will fire you for like literally no reason. And it's not like jobs will fire you and they'll like give you a 2 weeks notice. No, they'll fire you and then they'll just be like, you can go home for a day. Like, you can't even finish your shift. And then that sucks, because like if you're dependent on that money for real, and you thinking that you're gonna have this job, so next 2 weeks you're gonna come up with this money and you're gonna use it to pay rent or your phone bill, whatever the case is, yeah, it's very dangerous. So like I feel like it's safe just to have multiple jobs. I'm actually about to get my 7th job, believe it or not. So I'm all for that, because at the end of the day, like, there's really no job security nowadays, and I'm just trying to hustle to the point where, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even have to worry about that for real. Like, I feel like the money will bring options, but right now I'm in hustle mode, so I'm gonna have a couple jobs lined up, because I ain't about to be left stranded and looking crazy trying to depend on one job, thinking that one job probably gonna have my back, and then they fire me, and then I have to, you know what I mean? Because it take a while to find jobs. Like, it ain't easy as it used to be before, so it take a while to find a good paying job. And then even when you start a job, you know, you gotta wait a couple weeks before you really see that first paycheck. It's a lot, girl. So I was like, yeah, if you don't got multiple jobs, I don't know what you're doing at this point. I really don't.
I've been working 5 jobs for the past 5 weeks, and I'm here to tell you guys how I'm feeling and whether or not I think it's worth it. If you're new here, I have a 9-to-5 office job, 2 pub jobs, a restaurant job, and I also work as a front of house assistant. I'm not gonna lie guys, I am really starting to feel it. In a normal week, I work at least 4 out of 5 of these jobs, and I usually work between 3 and 4 double shifts. My only salaried role is my main 9-to-5, and other than that, I get minimum wage across the other 4 jobs, which all gets taxed at basic rate of 20%. This week should have been a lighter shift, but I didn't really schedule my shifts properly, so I finished my bar shift last night at 2 a.m, drove home, got into bed, was asleep by 3, and then I was up at 7 to start my 8 to 6 front of house shift. I know the first thing people are going to ask is, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, what's the point? After I got made redundant last month, I realised that I never wanted to be in a position again where I had no comfort blanket, no safety blanket in terms of income. My partner and I car share, and 2 weeks after the redundancy, his car broke down and it ended up costing us £700 to fix it. And if you live in Northern Ireland, you know that a car is essential. Public transport isn't something that can be relied on, so that was something that we had to pay out straight away, and made a big dent in the little savings that we did have. Those 2 consecutive financial blows really made me think about how I was living, and whether living paycheck to paycheck as a young person trying to pay rent was the way forward. I think most people my age would agree that the standard entry-level 9-to-5 job will not allow you to both pay your bills and make substantial contributions to your savings. I wanted to find a way to build up that comfort blanket quickly, and I thought if I hit the ground running, worked really hard for a few months, then I could scale it back, and at that stage we could live comfortably. And hopefully have a bit extra disposable for when I stopped that work, and that we could do some nice things that we'd actually enjoy. Most of the times it feels like it's worth it, and then sometimes I finish work at 2 a.m. in the morning, like last night, and I have to be in work for 8 a.m. today. Would I recommend this to anybody as a long-term solution? Definitely not. I feel myself getting more and more burnout every week, but I know there's an end point. And right now I'm just needing a little bit of motivation to get myself to Christmas. If you guys want to know anything more about how I got the jobs and how I manage my schedule, just drop me a note in the comments. Or alternatively, any words of support, encouragement, or advice would be really appreciated right now. And until then, I'm going to clock out and get straight to bed before I start work again at 9 tomorrow morning.
I just interviewed for a not only second job, a third job. I already have a full-time 9-to-5, and I make pretty good money on TikTok. And it makes me think about this book that I've been reading, which is called The Two-Parent Privilege. It has its own biases, and you can say what you want about it, but she essentially talks about how we need to start teaching people more skills that will allow them to have more financial health and get paid more in the workplace. And at what point will one job ever be enough again? Like, have we gotten so far off the beaten path that not only one person used to be able to sustain a household and buy a house, 2 people were able to sustain a lifestyle and buy a house, and now it requires me to have 3 jobs, live where I pay little to no rent and no utilities, and am I going to have to get a 4th job? Is it going to be never ending? It makes me think I made that video about how boomers were like, oh yeah, my kids are going to have to work until they're 75. Baby, I'm not going to make it if I'm working 4 jobs. I just, what skills are required? It also makes me think about how people want to start teaching children coding in school so that it becomes like a non-desirable skill. They don't have to pay them. If everybody knows how to code, then they don't have to pay people to code. In the same way that, like, if you teach other people another language, if you teach children another language in elementary school, then like it's not that much more desirable financially for you to speak 2 languages. And I feel like we are such cogs in the machine. Like, we don't even need to talk about AI, babes. We are the AI that are just pumping things out and not even being paid as if we're not people.
This is so sick and fucking twisted! Sick!
I'm really going to need a second job. It makes absolutely no sense how when this check came, 90% went to bills. And these are the necessity bills, you know, like the car note, the insurance, the light bill, the gas bill. And let's not forget to where, you know, I'm going to need groceries. I'm going to need groceries. That way I'm going to be good for 2 weeks. So that right there is another bill. That's probably like what, 90 to 100 some dollars, depending on exactly what I get. Hell, sometimes I don't even fully grocery shop. I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to just get a little bit of this. I'm going to let this last for me for a couple days. And if I have to go back, I will. Because eating out, that's a bill alone. And then gas. Gas don't know what it want to do. It want to go up. It want to go down. You know, it don't know if it want to stay consistent, especially with the summertime. That second job is definitely going to be needed because of the fact, like, you know, you need to make sure that you have like an emergency fund, or you're going to need the money to where, like, if you wanted to do something, you know, that will be a part of your self-care routine, or something to where, you know, you need to relax if you want to go out, or if you want to go on a trip. How you gonna go on a trip when 90% of that check just went to your goddamn bills? So yeah, need a second job. Hell, and I get why people be having second jobs, or why people be having 3 jobs. Sometimes some people, they get bored and, you know, they want to get 3 jobs. Hell, you know what? Salute to you. But then some people actually need it. That way they can actually maintain and live, because that one job, that check don't really, it don't do what it could do. That's why you're always supposed to save as well. But at the same time, this economy that we're living in, it don't make nothing no better. It don't make nothing no better. And don't let anything happen. Like, don't let nothing happen to where, like, something happened to your car to where you need an oil change. Well, that's mandatory. But like, if something, don't let nothing start knocking. You better turn that goddamn radio up and act like you don't hear. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm currently already at 6 jobs, about to be 7 in probably the next week or two. But honestly, I don't know if I'm just tweaking or being money hungry. I'm really thinking about reapplying to FedEx. Even though I hated when I worked at FedEx. The reason I say that is because it's part-time. I know I'm only going to have to work like 4 hours or so at a time. You get paid every week, and they start you immediately. So I got a big-ass bill that I want to pay on August 17th. And I'm thinking, like, if I go ahead and apply today, they'll probably have me on by next week. I'll have 2 checks before I have to even pay that bill on August 17th. But it's like, damn, I don't know if it's really worth it, because I already feel like I have a lot going on. And if I feel like for me, managing multiple jobs is doable without the overnight stuff. Like, when I throw overnights in there, that's when I feel like I start losing my mind. I start tweaking out for real. So I'm like, I don't know, but I want the money. And last time I started there, I don't know if it's because of the season I started, they started me off at $20 an hour. I could work with that. And I was up to like 23, I think, when I quit. When I got fired or whatever. I don't know what happened for real. But they told me I'm eligible for rehire in July. So I'm like, if I apply now, they'll probably hire me. I don't know. And I could always go occasional too after getting hired, while I only have to work 20 hours a month just to stay on the, you know, in the system. I don't know. I don't know if I'm being money hungry or what.
keep going, gotta 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 keep going.